This you have to see. Pro-Trump CNBC host Joe Kernen just lost his mind on Anthony Scaramucci after the election. Something about Scaramucci wildly triggered Kernen. Some of you may recall that Joe Kernen's gone after me on Twitter as well. Anthony Scaramucci made perfectly reasonable criticisms of Trump and Trump's agenda. Trump won. Scaramucci acknowledges it. And Joe Kernen, for whatever reason, is just losing his mind. Let's take a look at this. It developed slowly, and then all of a sudden, Kernen's just flipping out on Scaramucci. Look at this.
You know, there were certain things that happened in that campaign, Andrew, that I'm not in love with. There was a coarseness to some of the rhetoric. There was some threatening suggestions to people related to being political adversaries and so on and so forth. And I hope we can put that rhetoric aside and we can move forward and think about what we're going to do as a country to unify the country and make the people in the country, particularly the lower and middle income people,
completely reasonable what Anthony is saying.
The country more prosperous.
Yeah, the rhetoric got heated everywhere. You got pretty heated, Anthony, at times.
Look, Joe, how did I get heated? What did I say, Joe?
About Trump?
Yeah, what did I say? I said I repeated what he was saying. I said this is wrong.
Anthony,
come on, Joe.
you have had an utter disdain for Trump. You'll always be welcome at the table of legacy media and have people nodding as you trash Trump. That's always going to happen. But aren't you the slightest bit embarrassed or at least humbled about how wrong you were about
Joe,
the feeling of most Americans, let me finish, and for enthusiastically supporting a candidate who a majority of people thought had no business being anywhere near the Oval Office? And you're a Republican, and you saw all the different policies that she was talking about are anathema to what you thought your whole life, and yet you went along with it. Do you ever eat any crow, or not even a little crow wing,
really sure
like a little capon? Or you just,
Joe.
I mean, Michael Avenatti could still be on TV trashing Trump. You'll always find a place on TV. If he wasn't.
Look at Kernen winding himself up. Anthony Scaramucci's not even participating at this point because Kernen's just going nuts.
In prison, he'd still be on CNN running for president with Brian Stelter. Just give me a little bit, Anthony, about how wrong you were.
Joe, first of all, I immediately put out a congratulatory tweet. They won, we lost. In the immortal words of Barry Diller when he lost a Paramount deal. Next, Joe, what would you like me to do? Do you want me to get on bended knee before you?
No, I thought you were going to start that it's going to...
That's not even what America's about, Joe. We have a violent disagreement about lots of things related to Trump's personality. You like Trump. I was up close to Trump. I got to see the ugliest of what he is. And by the way, Joe, it's not just me. There were 40 of us that worked for the president that warned people. So
I think he's been very good for your. I think he's been very good for your career, Anthony. I think he's been incredibly good. You're here, are you not? And you're going to be welcome anywhere you want to go. I think he's been very good for you. And you'll be
here. So the way that Kernen is treating Scaramucci, not only is it disgusting and borderline psychotic, he kind of seems jealous in some weird way.
You're going to live off this for another 4 years.
Joe, why don't you calm down? Why don't you calm down a second, Joe? We know each other a long time. Are you saying that you and I can't disagree on somebody's personality? Is that what you're saying? And you're saying what I'm saying in terms of identifying those features and traits of the personality. You don't see those too, but you're choosing to ignore them?
I guess 75 million people looked at everything you looked at and decided that there were other things that...
But there were 67 million people that didn't, Joe. That's what makes America, Joe. That's what makes America, Joe. But you're saying to me that stuff that I was saying wasn't factually true. If somebody's saying they're going to use the American military to go after their political adversaries, and I say, geez, that sounds very un-American to somebody like me.
Is that what he said, Vivek?
Oh, no.
Is that what he's going to do?
Of course he said it.
So let me see if I can...
We'll go to
So then they bring in Vivek Ramaswamy to try to clean it up. This is something that's happening with these MAGAs. They are emboldened and they see it as open season. We're going to start treating everybody else like crap. No respect whatsoever. You know, the truth is people win and lose elections. We won the last one. They refused to accept it. They tried an insurrection. They incited riots. They stuck to it for 4 years that Trump's really the guy who won. Now we lost. And what do we say? We lost. We've got to figure out why. We've got to improve. We've got to better the messaging. We've got to better the policy. We've got to come up with a roster of people that are going to bring us there. There was no fraud this time. There was no fraud last time. And Joe Kernen, and you should see my email, by the way, these are the sorest winners that I have maybe ever seen. We aren't stewing in the loss. We're moving on. And Anthony Scaramucci is saying, listen, I congratulated the guy. My view is he's unqualified. 70-something Americans said they want him. 70-something Americans said, 77-something million Americans said they don't want him and voted for Kamala Harris instead. We're moving on. We aren't MAGA 2020, where we're going to sit around behaving the way Joe Kernen is now behaving. We didn't do it then, and we're not going to do it now. And the way that Kernen is treating people in the aftermath of this victory by Trump is disgusting. But if you think Kernen's disgusting, just wait till you see Jim Jordan. In a recent interview before the election, Trump said that he didn't think his supporters would cause problems after the election, but that the left would, saying the left is the enemy from within and might be needed to be handled by the National Guard. The Washington Times reported this interview with the headline, "Trump says no chaos from his supporters this election day," which totally whitewashes and sanewashes what Trump actually said. Luckily, we have Ground News, the app and website that provides context on every story. Like for this Trump interview, Ground News provides more context. Like Trump's defense secretary said, we should believe Trump when he says he wants to use the military against Americans, because that's what he wanted to do during the unrest in the summer of 2020. That's why Ground News is so valuable. Our sponsor, Ground News, is an independent, nonpartisan news analysis tool dedicated to exposing the hidden agendas that influence the news you consume. Ground News has features designed to expose the narratives that circulate in biased media bubbles, and it'll even show you your own media blind spots. We all have them, so that you can understand every story from every angle. Go to ground.news/Pacman to get a massive 50% discount off the same unlimited access Vantage plan that I use. The link is in the description, or scan the QR code.